Hi, I'm Keith with Lindsay Lawnscapes. Thought I'd do a video today on changing the gear axle oil in a walker. Of course, there's videos on YouTube about changing your engine oil and your hydro oil, but I didn't see one on there about changing gear oil, so I thought I'd just make one. First of all, I get my disclaimer out of the way. I'm not a professional mechanic, so this is just what I do, but if you do something different, that's entirely up to you. And this is just for fun only. It's not to be a how-to video. So, okay, we got the disclaimer out of the way. Okay, first step is you remove the deck, and I've already done that. I think most walker owners know how to do that. This is an older mower that I bought a few years ago. I use it as a side discharge mower. It was originally a GHS mower, but the guy got it from me. He said his deck was about shot and his hopper was about shot, so he just took the hopper off of it and put this little bed on it. But anyway, the mower's in fair condition. But for what I use it for, it does me fine. I've got a couple of these old mowers like this that I just use for, I got a sprayer that I use, I got a spreader that I use, and a couple of side discharge decks, different sizes. But anyway, so after you get the deck off, the next thing you want to do is you want to clean these support arms. You know, they're always greasy and you just can't get under there without getting it all over you. So I just use this engine degreaser and hit them a little bit like that. And then take me a paper towel and give them a little wipe down. Like so. Doesn't have to be perfect, just trying to reduce any grease getting on me. Grease seems to find me and dirt seems to find me like a magnet. Okay, next thing is we've got to take the plug out of the bottom of the gear axle. There's a plug right down here. It's an Allen wrench. Yeah, oh, and I may have to get a different wrench because as the plug's coming out, it's jamming it against the bottom of my lift table. Let's see if I can find an individual one that's that size. No, that was too big. That one's too small. Maybe it's that one. Ah, yes. All right, now we got her good and loose. Now we got to get our drain plug. And notice this drain pan, I had to cut a little bit off of one side of it just so it would fit under your gear axle. And there we go. And now it is out. Now I'll show you a close-up of this plug. This little end of it right here is a magnet. And I don't know if you can see or not, but there's a bunch of little metal shavings on the end right there. And the reason they have this magnet in there is to catch those metal shavings and to get them stuck to this so it's not wearing your gears more than necessary. It's a great idea. I'm not sure why all drain plugs doesn't have something like that. I mean, think about it, even a truck or a car drain plug. That sounds like a good idea to me. The drain plugs on mowers' engines. A little magnet like that would sure keep any small metal particles from causing premature wear on the engine. Okay, our next step is to take the plug out of the top so that it can vent and drain better. On the top, you can use one of these T-handle Allen wrenches. You can get a lot more leverage with it, just a lot better. But underneath there's just not room to get it. Okay, see, there's the little magnet on top.
Wait, gotta let it focus. There we go.
And then on the tip of that, see that blob, there is little fine metal shavings that is stuck to that little magnet.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's what it looks like when it's clean. Okay, now, as we let that oil drain out, and it has already slowed down, one thing that I do, whether I am changing oil in the engine or the hydros, or in this case, the gear axles, I even do this in the truck when I change my own oil in the truck. I don't always do it, but sometimes I do. But when I change oil of any kind, I take about a half a quart, and while it's draining, I pour it through there. And my theory on that is that it would flush any contaminants that's still in there on the bottom that maybe didn't drain out good. You know, I've never seen anybody else do that, even a professional mechanic at the dealership or anything, but those guys are always in a hurry. But I figure the worst that can happen is that I'm wasting some oil. So, you know, but if it does some good, you know, it's worth that to me to waste a little oil, if that's what it is. So, okay, hon, now go around and get a picture of it coming out of the bottom. Okay. And that is all of that cord. Okay, now come back around here. One thing I failed to mention is before you start doing this, you want to clean this area around this plug. You just don't want any dirt or anything like that getting in there. The same with your hydros. When you go to change your hydros, you want to clean all this good. You don't want any of that dust and dirt to get back in there during the changing process. Okay. It is still draining just a little bit. As you can see, this mower is not a cream puff, but for what I need it for, it does the job. I've used it with a 52-inch side discharge deck, a 48-inch side discharge deck. I've even got a 62-inch side discharge deck. And I also have a aerator. The Walker calls it the perforator. So I can use it on that. It's just kind of my sport utility vehicle of my walkers, you know. Not the one I use the most, but it sure comes in handy. Okay, it's about quit draining. So now we can put this plug back in the bottom. Okay, that is plenty tight. Now clean up my mess for just a couple of drops come out there when I took the oil pan out of the way. Check your owner's manual, but I believe this is one thing that most walker owners neglect. I'm pretty sure that the recommended service is every 2 hours or 500 hours. 2 years, 2 years or 500 hours. So I don't think most guys probably have ever changed it, but it's something you just need to do, because you don't want to buy one of those. Those gear axles go out, that's probably mega bucks, just like the hydros are. Okay, now all we've got to do is fill it. Okay, we're going to try to use this little funnel here. It's got a narrow neck, but yet the neck is not small enough to fit in that hole. So I took about a half of a straw and cut it in half and got it taped here. I'm hoping that that'll speed up the process, and instead of just putting the bottle down here like I did with the half bottle that I had. So we're gonna experiment here a little bit and see how this works. And hopefully I won't make a big old mess.
So far so good.
And these, each one of your gear axles, they don't hold quite a quart. I believe it's like 3/4 of a quart. And you need to be checking that. There's a sticker right there. You're supposed to check the level of it every 100 hours. And it's supposed to be full all the way up to where the plug goes in. Again, I doubt that all walker users are checking that every 100 hours. I have went to buy some used machines, and looked like it had never been changed. Really, really dirty, or the plug rusted in there so you know it hadn't been taken out and checked, or else low on fluid. I use this Lucas 80W90 gear oil is what I've used that for a long time and never had any problems out of it. When you start getting close to using about 2/3 to 3/4 of your quart, you want to stop and let it drain all the way down, because if you get this funnel full of oil and then it gets full down there, it's going to make a big old mess when you try to pull that funnel out, at least for a second or two, until you can get your finger capped over the end of it. You're going to be getting oil all over down here. One thing I don't like about these bottles is there's not a clear window on the side of it to see through how much oil is in there. Most quarts of motor oil has that little clear window. You can look in there and see how much you've used and how much is left in there. Okay, I think I'm going to let that drain for just another minute or two. And then I'm going to take the funnel out and fill it by just using the spout on the container. Because I say that from experience, I have done that before. Got my funnel full, and then the gear axle got full, and when I tried to pull it out, I made a big old mess. Sometimes we can learn from our mistakes and try not to do that again. Another thing, before you start this process, your very first step should be to warm it up. You need to drive it around for about 5 or 10 minutes and get the oil in the gear axles warm. And it won't do that if you've just got it sitting there idling. It's not going to do that. You need to drive it around for a few minutes to get that oil warm, where it'll come out better and hopefully bring all those contaminants out with it. Dirt is the enemy of hydros and gear axles. Well, engines too. I mean, as far as that goes, dirt is usually not our friend. A little slower. But I am starting to see it. We're getting closer. Okay. And there we have it. Now, focus right down on top of that and you can see the oil level. It's right up there to the top. Now, you put your plug back in. And that little magnet on there can make getting your plug back in a little aggravating. It wants to stick to the sides till you get the thread started. But then once you get the thread started, you're on the home stretch. Now, tighten him up. Clean up what mess you made. And we are finished. It's not rocket science. Changing the hydros is not rocket science. A lot of guys shy away from that and get the dealers to do it, but it's not that difficult. Just got to make sure, and, like I say, keep everything clean. That's the biggest thing. So I guess that wraps up this video. Check with us. We'll be putting some more out soon. Thanks.